Hello and welcome, beloveds, to Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways, all of them, beloveds, and that you're moving into living life truly on your own terms. We really want to thank every single person that supports us on Patreon. We appreciate, love you so much for that, for our spiritual community there. Go ahead and consider joining to see everything I have to say about the pandemic. There's extra shows on there and some books I've also shared on there. Thanks to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. Beloveds, I love it. I love how it's grown. I appreciate love each and every one of you. Now, I know by now you already know, I don't know if you were a victim or not, but Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp were down for hours yesterday, beloveds. And what we need to know by this is that it has begun. We are fully in a digital world, beloveds, which is why they want to move humans into digital beings, stories of 4 other days. And we saw that yesterday that, it was taken down for hours, beloveds. They say 6, 7 hours. In that time, they say Mark Zuckerberg lost like $7 or $8 billion just like that, and moved from, I think, number 2 to like number 7. I mean, not really our issues. But you know what I realized when I was looking at that list of the top rich? It's all Muzungu men. And that should be clear of who's running the world right now, who's controlling the narrative right now. And the scary thing is that, they said it was actually an internal error, which basically, means it's an internal job. And what happens when these things happen, when Facebook is down or Instagram is down, is that there's massive harvesting of data. And beloveds, data is the new gold. Data is the new gold for the legal and the illegal world. Data is the new gold for the here in Africa. The reason it should concern us is because it's the gold now for politicians and governments. They're constantly looking for those dissenting voices. They're constantly trying to manipulate events, and not just on the continent but internationally. There's been so many exposés of how Russia influenced elections. I think in Mozambique and in Central African Republic. How France influenced a lot of elections in West Africa by running these smear campaigns and false narratives that the youth would grab onto and share. And these really influenced who was voted in. And as I told you, the youth are the ones who are running, they're the majority right now. And so, they're saying that the, data of over 1.5 billion Facebook users was allegedly leaked and sold according to reports. And they say, the alleged data is being sold on one of the most popular hacking related forums online. The data contains the usernames, emails, phone numbers, location, sex, and ID of affected users, according to reports. And if the information being sold is confirmed to be credible and authentic, then it's likely to be one of the largest data dumps in recent Facebook history. And there's currently no known link between this leak and the recent global outage of Facebook and related companies. But that's what happens whenever there's an outage like this, beloveds. First of all, I told you the internet is going to go down. And I'm going to do a whole other show on that and on how this was a test and how to know if you pass the test. Because this was a massive test, beloveds. And for me, on the other side, although this is totally my opinion, I was like, what if they're upgrading some data or some information? What if this was to put in some software that they couldn't do? But, they're saying that, data now is, as I said, the new gold, the new oil, actually. And so this article, it talks about who's buying it and how. They say the data was allegedly obtained through a process called data scrapping rather than hacking. And data scrapping is basically a process of extracting publicly available data from the web and organizing it into lists and databases. And what happens in these lists and databases are basically used by the unethical marketers, state agents, organized crime syndicates who can, if they have all your information, they can even set up accounts under your name, et cetera, et cetera. And this is why, beloveds, you need to really be aware of how you're moving on social media. I mean, I have Facebook. I'm rarely on it. I didn't even know it was down until I was actually coming to publish something on this channel. And then, I looked on the Twitter feed and it was like delete, hashtag delete Facebook. Because, beloveds, all those pictures you add of you and your mama, or you and your daddy, or you and your 2-month-old baby, all of these things are being literally harvested. And so, if you are going to be on social media, there's a certain way that you need to be moving and operating to ensure that, that that your family is not at risk, that your children is not at risk, and that your information is not at risk. And especially here in Africa. You see, I told you guys a couple of months ago how they were doing research to look into to look into, like, they were asking, I think Facebook released some kind of survey where they were asking friends and family to kind of let them know who were the kind of outliers in their Facebook friends. So did they have any, I don't know if it was rebellious people or, people who are anti the narrative, beloveds. And they were being asked to do this. And I think it was scrapped after there was a lot of outrage. But that's why it's so dangerous to have too much information on these social media sites. And people really share too much. They share way too much. And here in Africa, you see now, if they got all allegedly, yeah, let me just put that in there. If they got 1.5 billion user names and files, who knows how many hundreds of millions here in Africa, what do you think that information is going to do? It's funny because in the last election here in Kenya, there was this huge scandal with this, company. I think it became a global scandal. Do you guys remember Cambridge Analytica? Which was basically using Facebook, et cetera, to create these false narratives against certain, against the opposition of whoever hired them, and to create certain false narratives to drive elections. And by then, I think they had influenced elections across the world. And one of the elections that they influenced was here in Kenya. So, beloveds, we are no longer in the seasons and times where you can just be in these internet streets just like that. And remember, the social media is the new media that is influencing and impacting people in a massive way. So let's take a short break. And then when we come back, I'll be telling you, just giving you some ideas of what you can do to protect your name, to protect your information, et cetera, et cetera. We'll be right back. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa. Welcome back, beloveds, to Dr. Mumbi's Spiritual Show. My name is Dr. Mumbi Seraki. Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, and freaking WhatsApp was down yesterday. And WhatsApp is so widely used. So I was looking at some of the, Twitter feeds across Africa, people saying, the diaspora couldn't reach their African brothers and sisters to see what's going on. There was a lot of panic, et cetera, et cetera. And it shows you how dependent we are on these platforms. Beloveds, I told you, the internet is going to go down at some point. And have you written down the contacts of your family members? Have you found alternative ways to communicate? Telegram was having a great day yesterday. But I think it's important now to come to the realization of just how precious your information is and why you need to really, I mean, for people who are still using Facebook and everything to put their family photos on there, their children's, birthday picture videos up there and things like that, and sharing their personal information. I mean, seriously, you must be out of your mind. Because everything that you say on these platforms can and will be used against you. I mean, for me and many people who are on YouTubers or whatever you want to call us, mine is just a public profile. There's no personal photos. There's no personal information. I haven't shared, my granddaddy's barbecue the other day. I know, and you shouldn't be sharing that information online anymore. And beloveds, you need to recognize that we are literally going into a surveillance state. So even the things you're communicating on WhatsApp is not a secure platform. You can say something and it be used against you, beloveds. So really start to reduce the amount of impersonal information you're putting out there and the amount of deeply personal, conversations that you're also having. If I were you, I'd start to scrap all the personal photos and personal videos that I've shared of family, friends. I would really start to reduce that and use them just as, like, what do they call them? Like a window, those window shopping kind of vibes, where it's literally just a place for you to connect with people. But that shouldn't be how you connect with your family. It's even better to create like a secure website for where all your family can log in and upload photos, etc., etc. Can you imagine 1.5 billion? And they say, the reason this is dangerous is because phone numbers, locations, and users' full names allow criminals to select their target more accurately. The scrapped data can be used to coordinate phishing attacks, social engineering attacks. And that's what we've been seeing across Africa, where a certain narrative, and it's very dangerous for us because it's influencing politics. It's influencing the perception and the choices of the people without their knowledge. Let's not even talk about the addiction. And I'm going to cover that. But, beloveds, please protect your information. Start to learn to share less on these platforms. It's become so easy to share, but learn to share less. Learn to spend less time on it. And then create alternatives of how you would communicate. I don't know how people would communicate. And know that your information is money. It's money that people can use to, you know, to harm you. It can be used, I mean, if you're in, of criminal intent, it can be used to implicate you in a court of law. But as we move into a surveillance state, depending on where you are as whether you're going to be a revolutionary, whether you're just going to bow to the new world order, you now need to, especially if you're going to be a revolutionary, beloveds, you need to really look at your social footprint and start to reduce it, erase it. And there was a massive campaign about hashtag delete Facebook. And it was a great opportunity for many, many people to recognize, okay, when these platforms go down, all my pictures and everything are gone. They're in someone else's hands. What happens then? What happens to my birthing video? Who's going to take advantage of? I mean, seriously, social media is not your friend. It's a surveillance system that is done to track and monitor you and influence your decisions. It started with just marketing, like trying to get you to buy this beer or that car, etc., etc. But now it's much more sinister, beloveds. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Were you affected by the Facebook downtime? Until next time, tuko pamoja.